Hello, I'm Idessa Tony. This is an educational and inspirational channel called Seniors with a Purpose. Today's video is titled Seniors Who Experience Elder Abuse and Ways to Prevent It. This conversation is important because 1 in 10 adults over 60 will be abused over their lifetime, which translates to 5 million people yearly. Please take time to watch my video called Seniors Who Are Targeted for Scams. Its focus is on fraud that is often perpetrated against seniors. Fraud and abuse are synonymous. That is why this video is so necessary. Let's take a look at each for clarity and differentiation. Fraud is an intentional deception or misrepresentation of fact that may result in an unlawful benefit to the scammer, whereas abuse, which is the focus of today's video, are improper and inappropriate actions by professionals, friends, and even family members toward some seniors. The abuse may take many forms. There is financial abuse, which is exploitation. The abuser is making use of the senior's finances and are using them for personal benefit. The Nursing Home Abuse Center offers quick facts about physical elder abuse. 9.3% of nursing home staff members admitted to physically abusing elderly residents, according to a 2017 study analyzed by the World Health Organization. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, only 1 in 20 cases of physical elder abuse is reported to authorities. In a Connecticut study on aging, researchers found that just 9% of seniors who were physically abused or neglected were still alive after 13 years, compared to 40% of those who weren't abused. The Office of Women's Health claims that physical elder abuse is more likely to come from spouses or romantic partners. The last three types of elder abuse are verbal, sexual, and emotional, and there is also neglect, which falls in the same category, all of which are meant to diminish the senior. In other words, to make them feel less valued. These actions are despicable and wrong, no matter who the perpetrator may be, family, friend, or professional. Abuse of seniors is pervasive and is recognized internationally as a public health issue and as a growing problem. Consequently, healthcare systems, social welfare agencies, policymakers, and the general public have become aware that changes need to be adapted to incorporate stringent measures for the safety of vulnerable seniors. Sadly, half of the seniors who experience some type of abuse will have dementia. In this unfortunate case, the abuser will be a family member. Efforts to address elder abuse is reportedly 20 years behind domestic violence and child abuse. It is not reported as often, but even when it is, the conviction rate is very low. Abuse of seniors is a hidden problem. A few reasons for this is due to shame, embarrassment, and most importantly, because of the affection between the senior and the abuser. No one wants to admit that they have any type of impairment, but abuse can happen to anyone. Fraud, which is abuse, is considered a low risk crime that is very lucrative. The perpetrator determines that they do not need to work hard to accomplish financial gain, so they prey on seniors with a nest egg. There are definite signs of abuse that will be discussed later in this video. In my research, I ran across a story that paints a most vivid picture of how abuse can happen so easily to those who may not seem vulnerable. A senior couple were victims of financial abuse. The husband was 89 years of age and the wife was 83. The couple had 6 degrees between them and had careers as successful psychotherapists. But they had been persuaded or groomed by a young lady who was a receptionist at their eye doctor's office. One day she showed up unexpectedly at their door with her young child in tow. She asked if she could borrow $300. After receiving it, she continued coming to ask for additional funds. Each time expressing a need for the money for various reasons, and the need was always urgent. This young lady rarely left without a check. This couple told no one that this had been happening to them. This continued until the couple's accountant noticed that there was a deficit of $600,000 in their account. They were asked questions by the accountant that could not be avoided. Only then did they let someone know what had been occurring with this young lady. They were informed that this was indeed a crime and were encouraged to report it. It took another couple of weeks for them to do so because they were mortified that it had happened to them. The husband was already dying of heart failure when the charges were made, and his cardiologist said he only had a few months to live. The trial may have taken a year to get to the courts. Therefore, the case was litigated to take his testimony ahead of time by a deposition in his home. This is fairly rare in criminal cases. The next day, he was so exhausted from this experience that he remained in bed all day. Sadly, he died only 6 weeks later. Because he had no cognitive decline and his memory was fully intact, he was an essential witness for the prosecutors. The clock is working against a senior when there are charges of abuse and cases are dismissed. The victims and what they experienced simply fade away. Therefore, time is of the essence. Please be aware there is another problem that is based on basic legal truths. It is the confrontational clause of the Constitution, which means when someone is accused of a crime, they have a right to bring in their accuser and confront them face to face in a court and to cross-examine them. This can be very hard on a senior. Now let's look at some of the signs of abuse. The first and most obvious is weight loss. The senior's eating habits have changed, and unless someone is paying attention, there will be a gradual loss of appetite, resulting in weight loss. We can surmise that it is most likely from depression, since they are holding this secret inside. Then the senior may become withdrawn, which undoubtedly is because they are not sharing the pain of what is happening. Nonverbal communication is not using words, but can be seen in facial expressions and gestures. Let's pay attention to our elder loved ones to help when they are unsure how to help themselves. Isolation is resounding confirmation that something is wrong, especially if this has not been the normal behavior of the senior previously. The final warning sign of abuse are unexplained injuries. Do you recall when I shared that the senior and abuser sometimes have affection one toward the other? This is a perplexing notion. How in the world would an abused senior have affection towards someone who's abusing them? According to Medical News Today, which is owned by Healthline Media, it's a result of trauma bonding. This is a psychological response to abuse. It occurs when the abused person forms an unhealthy bond with the person who abuses them. When can trauma bonding happen? In theory, trauma bonding can occur in any situation that involves one person abusing or exploiting another. This includes many situations, and elder abuse is one of them. The information that I have presented showing how seniors or elders are abused seems abysmal. However, we will not conclude this video with negativity. Instead, we will encourage loving family members, caring caretakers, and all professionals who promote ethical and moralistic values to stand in the gap for our seniors. If you see an injustice, immediately call it out, and by all means report it. If not, the problem of elder abuse becomes perpetual, happening over and over again. Let's help protect these wonderful seniors who have contributed so much to society and has left an indelible mark of positivity in many people's lives. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, hit the like button, and continue the conversation on my website, seniorswithapurpose.com. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you all.